It's a monster, and it's a demon that slowly and relentlessly creeps into the lives of innocent and unsuspecting people. People that find themselves trapped in a life of uncertainty, one they have little control over, and one with which they have little hope. My wife Karen was 44 years old at the time, in the spring of 2009. She worked full-time as a caregiver in a nursing home. She was a loving mother to 3 grown boys. She loved to bake. She kept a big garden. She kept chickens during the summer. Everything was great. Together we were working on building our dream home, a little acreage that we would spend the rest of our lives together on. But things were changing. She was beginning to grow a little distant. Little things were happening that didn't make a lot of sense to me. Didn't alarm me a lot, but just didn't make a lot of sense to me at the time. She had always been a devoted worker, but she was starting to find excuses to call in sick more and more often. Frustration was beginning to grow in me because she spent most of her days alone at home, watching TV, and not really doing anything. Something that was out of character for her. Our second son was married in August of that year, and I remember her standing in the middle of the reception floor, lost. She just had this look on her face that she didn't understand what was going on or what she should be doing. Our boys were all 3 grown and away from home, and this was the first time they had seen their mother for a few months. And they too recognized that something was wrong with their mom. She was put on leave from her job for not being able to execute her duties properly and for making inappropriate comments and actions towards her fellow co-workers and the residents she was in charge of. She spent all of her days now at home, alone, but perfectly content to do so. In her mind, nothing was wrong. Things progressed and got worse, and we went back to the doctor again shortly after Christmas. A number of tests and referrals to other specialists, and we found ourselves sitting in a doctor's office on February 12, 2010, Thursday evening, and he took great detail in relaying to me what frontotemporal dementia was and what that meant, and said that he thought that was what was wrong with Karen. It took a while for that to sit in. Karen sat beside me and listened to that, playing with her phone, and the only thing she got out of it was relief, because it meant that she wouldn't have to face brain surgery, which had earlier been suggested. She was happy. I tried to find help because I didn't know what to do. But it seemed that there was little help to be found. Counselors I saw didn't really understand what it was like to have lost the person you loved like that. Karen was still with me, but she wasn't. The old Karen was gone. I don't know when she left, but she was gone. I remember little of the next few months. I remember frustration, anger, loneliness, grief at the loss, all those things. You know, I talk about how I felt and not a lot about how Karen felt. And it's not that I don't care about what she felt. I care deeply. But the truth of the matter is, Karen was happier than she'd ever been in her life. She had no concerns, not a care in the world. As long as I was there to provide for her, that was all that she needed. She was happiest at home. She could wander around out in the yard, play with the cats and the dog. She could go to the bookshelf and take down the photo albums and look through them for hours on end. She could watch whatever she wanted on TV whenever she wanted. That was where I knew she belonged and she was happiest. There were a few things that Karen did that we found particularly difficult to deal with. For one thing, she was a screamer. She would scream constantly for hours on end. And it wasn't that she was in pain, but that was her way of communicating. See, she spoke very little by now. She communicated her happiness and her frustration and everything else in the way of screams. She also became a biter, and she would chew and bite on anything that she could get her hands on, whether it was my shoulder or my finger or anything else. August 12th, I got up about 6:30 in the morning, had a shower and got ready for work, and then went in to see Karen. As I opened the door, she flipped the covers over her head, and I said, "Where are you?" She said, "Here I am," and she flipped them back again. We played peekaboo for a few minutes, and then I got her up and put her in the bath, changed the bedding, got her out of the bath, put some sweats on her, got her back into bed, and switched the TV on for her, gave her a kiss goodbye, and went to work. That was the last I seen of my wife. She passed away suddenly and peacefully that afternoon. These glasses also had a major accident. When I was getting Karen dressed one day, she flipped them off my face and stepped on them, broke this arm, and again, I patched it. And I was good to go again. A little worse for wear, but it worked. There's a chip in the lens here. I don't know where that piece went. I'll never get it back. Just like me. A piece of me is gone that I'll never get back again. I have a new pair of glasses now. These ones you can't see the scars that I still have, but I can see again. See, I'm nearsighted. Everything close to me is fine, but the distance I can't see without my glasses. Now, with new glasses, I can once again see into the future, into the distance. Things are getting better, but those scars will always remain.